My name is Tony Tovey. I come from an AO background, so I've been in your situation. And I just want to kind of start with a question. You know, who here currently needs drivers as part of their operation? Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, I walked into a situation as a new AO in a new CSA in Kennesaw, Georgia. And when I walked into that operation, the day after we stood up, we lost 10 drivers in a BC. Yeah. I was paralyzed with worry as I spoke with my partners, and I asked them, what are we gonna do now? This thing was supposed to come fully staffed, and we don't know the first thing about hiring for these positions. Well, the quick fix was that we all needed to be on trucks, right? And the bigger question was, how are we going to deliver all of these packages and recruit 10 drivers and a BC? The answer was we couldn't. We were in big trouble, and guess what? FedEx wasn't gonna come help us. I experienced a fear, just talking about it kind of makes me reminisce about that. A fear that I know that most of you guys experience in your day-to-day operations in regards to hiring drivers for yourselves. And even though that was a horrible position to be in, as a company, we grew a lot from that situation. We gained perspective on our own operations and realized that we never, ever, ever wanted to be put in a position like that again. And so one of the things that I want to talk to you about is the ability to recruit drivers. This was in 2016, and it was really hard to recruit drivers then. We had a lot of drivers applying on Indeed, probably 300 drivers. We'd post an ad on Friday, and we'd have 300 drivers. But it was still hard to recruit drivers then, and honestly, it's even harder to recruit drivers now. So if there's any information today that I can offer you guys that's gonna help you understand the recruitment process better and how to recruit better drivers, then I feel like I would have done my job. Because maybe you guys need to understand how to master your market, and I'll explain that a little bit later. And maybe you guys need to understand how to master your ads. Or maybe you guys need to understand how to master converting actual applicants to drivers. But whatever you guys' position is that you're in today, I want to offer our tips and tricks. This isn't an advertisement for Bright Flag, although I do definitely want to promote who we are and what we do and what an engagement looks like with us. But more than anything, I want this to be informative so that we can offer you guys the insight that we've utilized to be able to be successful in our efforts. And so with that, I kind of want to start with what is mastering your market? So mastering your market, I come from a couple different backgrounds. First of all, I started in multifamily, where we had to do a lot of market comp research. And I took that and I kind of ebbed and flowed that into understanding recruiting and market analysis. So the first thing that I think that is really important to identify in your specific market is who are your competitors, right? Is it going to be other FedEx CSPs? Is it going to be Amazon DSPs? Is it going to be the local guy that's on a bread route that's able to offer $25 an hour because he just has one route? Is it going to be Pizza Hut delivery, Uber, Lyft, DoorDash? Who are you guys competing against in your market that is taking drivers from applying to your ads? So once you've identified who are the competitors in your market, it's really important to understand what are their offerings. What are they giving to these drivers? Are they offering more money for less hours? Are they offering less money for more hours? What are their schedules? What are they driving? What are their routes? And understanding that is going to help give you a different perspective of your own offerings. And then you'll be able to take that comparison and identify what you guys are offering and see if there's anything that you guys can do to make yourselves more competitive in that market. There's also a lot of other factors that come into play that most of you guys probably don't internalize. Like, what is the average minimum wage? How old are the people, the bulk of the people that are delivering in your market? How old are they? Can they physically do the job? I have a contractor that's in Burlington, Vermont, and the average median age is 55 because it's a retirement community. It's a second home community. And most of the people that are working in that area are working on the ski slopes. So they don't want to be out there driving and delivering 150 stops when they can make $30 an hour working on the slopes, talking to girls, having a good time, getting free drinks. So you have to understand all of the comps in that market to see what you're up against. And all of those things, if you take that and you adjust it and see what you guys can offer in your own offerings, can make you guys a lot more competitive in those markets. One of the things that Bright Flag has introduced is a free market analysis that is free to any P&D contractor in this space. We will look at all of those comps. We will look at the minimum wage, the unemployment rates, who are your competitors, what they are offering. And Bright Flag, partnered with Route Consultants and Patent Logistics, the CEO, Grace Bay, will give you a free 30-minute consultation. Whether you are in an engagement with Bright Flag or not, I want to be a resource for you guys. I know margins are slim, and some of you guys can't afford us, and that's okay, because I have been in your position, and I understand the plight and where you guys are at. And so from me to you, I want to offer this free market analysis to give you this high-level overview of what you guys are up against and be able to verbalize that with a 30-minute consultation with Grace Bay. And so with that, we'll talk about what a market analysis is, what it looks like, and give you guys some visualization on that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to show a video really quickly just to give you guys the overview of the market analysis program that we're doing with Bright Flag. You'll hear a few different clips of us kind of talking about what it entails, what it looks like. So we're going to cue that really quick.
In the hiring market that we're seeing right now is that it is super tumultuous out there. Right now, the competition is like it's never been before.
A market analysis is a deep dive to understanding what other employers are offering in your market. It also helps you to understand the conditions of your market by looking at things like unemployment rate, population density, median age of people who live in your area. If any of those things are out of line with kind of a general baseline we see across the United States, maybe some are super high, some are super low, that makes it somewhat easier or harder to recruit in your market. And so by understanding those data points, you can position yourself in a way to be more competitive than the other employers in your market. Without that data, you don't know what you're aiming for, so there's no way to be competitive.
And so having that high-level overview to see what your true competition is gives you that insight to be able to reshift and refocus your offerings to be competitive in this space in this time.
I work with Bright Flag hand in hand on this 30-minute call to provide this data to you and then to provide consulting services to help you understand how to strategize the way that you find drivers and onboard drivers in a really, really competitive labor market right now. We'll be in touch to schedule a 30-minute call to go over the entire market analysis with you. All right, so just a couple more points on this. I wanted to show you guys an example of a market analysis. So this is what the market analysis looks like when we crunch some data for your specific CSA, okay? So a lot of the things that Tony mentioned, we're gonna highlight in this market analysis. So we look at minimum wage, we look at the highest competitors or the most competitive employers in your area for competing for driver candidates. We go through all of this information with you, and then what's really cool about Bright Flag's team is they actually do research in your CSA to understand unique challenges and unique advantages to your particular territory. And the reason why they're able to do this in a really effective way is because they understand the business, they understand the routes better than really any other recruiting company that I've ever worked with, which is why Bright Flag recruits for all of my operations. But they're really able to analyze and say, okay, in this particular example, if someone is looking at recruiting for an operation outside of St. Louis, Missouri, I have a fellow contractor right up here, they might say, hey, we'll just pull from St. Louis because that's the largest candidate pool to extract from. But really, what we can tell them about operating across the river and across the bridge from the St. Louis area is it's not effective to recruit in St. Louis because most people don't want to travel across that bridge and be in that traffic and have that commute. So actually, we're going to target some other places locally across the bridge to be able to recruit more effectively rather than taking the easy route of just tapping into the closest major metro market. So this is just some examples of what we do and what we go over in our phone call so that I can help coach you all through some ways to to recruit more effectively. And Bright Flag's team does all the legwork for this and does all the data analysis, and happy to talk to you more in depth about any of it as well. But this is a really important tool right now. For any of you who haven't done this yet, I really encourage you to sign up after the expo so that we can go through this with you. And whatever you're doing for your recruiting, whether you're doing it internally, whether you're using another recruiting company, this will be helpful for you no matter what you're doing. So reach out to us for that, and then I will hand it back over to you, Tony.
Okay, so we effectively talked about what it feels like to master your market. And if any of you guys are still confused about that, there is going to be an email address for me personally at the end of this presentation, and feel free to reach out to me. I will link you up with the link to be able to get started for that free market analysis. Again, free to you. Happy to be a resource. Happy to give you guys the insight and information that nobody was willing to provide to me when I was a new AO, and I find it very beneficial. So if we can offer that to you and it can help you, then that's great. So the second thing that I want to share with you guys is how to master your ads. Okay, mastering your market is super important. It's important to understand what you're up against. But then once you realize what their offerings are, how you guys can be competitive with your own offerings, how do you verbalize that into your ads to be visibly enticing and to draw candidates when there's 1,000 jobs out there? Here's the thing. Everybody needs bodies right now. Unfortunately, they need heartbeats, right? Sometimes we're just trying to find somebody who says like, yeah, I want a job, or yeah, I think I might work. It's really hard. It's almost like they're interviewing you. And that's a really hard concept to swallow when you need drivers right now on routes. So one of the things that you guys can do when you're posting your ads, and one of the things that we do when we engage with you, is we try to understand the culture of your organization. Sometimes it's really simple just to offer people free Chick-fil-A sandwiches every fourth Sunday of the month. That sets a precedence and a culture that you actually care for them. It seems like it's a loss leader, but these people actually care about that, and it makes them feel valued, and it makes them feel important. And when you have that family-oriented culture, whether it's a Chick-fil-A biscuit, a Popeyes biscuit, McDonald's sausage, egg, and cheese, I don't care, wherever you guys are located, that means something to them. And if that's something that you do, it's important to verbalize that in the ad. No, you don't want to say, hey, if you come work for us, you get a free chicken biscuit. That's not what I'm talking about. But if you have a family-oriented culture and you actually care about these people more than just a quota to fill or some routes to deliver, that's going to go a long way. Because right now, they can have their choice of any job in this market. Target is hiring people for $17 an hour. Where I live in Georgia, they're literally paying people in West Cobb, Marietta, $25 to fill out an application. So what I'm trying to explain to you guys is the competition is unprecedented. And if you guys set yourself apart in just little ways and you verbalize that in your ads and you say, hey, you matter, we want you to be on our team and you will be valued. For some people, for the right people that aren't going to have the attrition, that's going to be a really big win for you guys. And we are really good at understanding what the culture of your organization is and verbalizing that in the ads. And whether you use us or you don't, you need to verbalize that as well. What's also really important is to make sure that you lay out very specifically and very transparently what you're offering. I had a contractor about 4 months ago who was offering more money in his area than anybody else, and he couldn't find any drivers. When I looked at his ads and I did a deep dive, I realized that he was trying to recruit people based on how much money that truckload was bringing in. He was saying, okay, well, if we are making $500 on how much that truck is delivering, I will give you half of that. But these drivers don't understand that. They want to understand the meat and potatoes of what you guys are offering. How much am I going to make a day? How much am I going to make an hour? How much am I going to make per stop? How much am I going to make per week? When I was in AO, we had 5,000 different types of pay structures, and payroll was a pain. And I remember having to verbalize to them, okay, you get $1 per stop, 10 cents per extra per package. This bulk route that's going to a mall is making $800 flat rate. This rural route is making $25 flat rate an hour. Not that much, but similar. And I was really transparent with what the expectation was of what they had to deliver and what they were going to make. And you guys, whether it feels like you're deterring them because you're saying, hey, you're working 10 to 11 to 12 hours a day, you still need to put that in there. Because whether or not you're transparent with them in the beginning, they're going to find out in the end. And if you don't tell them up front, you're going to waste your time, you're going to waste their time, you're going to waste very valuable payroll dollars, and you don't want to do that. You want to know up front whether or not this person's going to be the right fit for your organization, right? And it starts with verbalizing and being transparent and how you're laying out the pay structure and what you're doing. And so that contractor that was saying, hey, you're going to get a percentage of how much I'm making gross revenue off that route did not work. And I said to him, tell me worst case scenario, how much are they going to make minimum on a route, on your lowest grossing route? Well, he said 150. I said, how much are they going to make on the highest grossing route? He said 320. I said, okay, well, that's really great. We can work with that. Let's put a pay range in there, and we will set the expectation. How do you get to that 320, and why do you make that 150? And if you want to go out there and hustle and come in and make a hard day's work and a honest living, then you're going to get 150. If you want to be even harder and work more and be more efficient and be profitable, you're going to make 320. The choice is yours. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. 150 to 320, you can make whatever you want to make. The world is your oyster. And that really helped get a lot more visibility, a lot more traction for the ads, and it was just shifting how we were verbalizing that information. It was still the same. We weren't misleading those drivers. We weren't misleading that contractor and offering things that we weren't going to be able to make good on. We were giving them, honestly, what they can understand and visualize from a driver's perspective. Some of these people are not technologically savvy. Some of these people are not good with math. I'm from Louisiana, so I got 10 toes, 10 fingers, and if it's over that, I have a hard time and I need to use my iPhone. Teacher said that you will always have to use calculations in your brain, but they were wrong because now we have iPhones. So wrong to you, 8th grade teachers. Anyway, so the other thing that's really important is making sure that when you are putting these ads out, that there's algorithms to Indeed, to ZipRecruiter, to Craigslist, things that you guys probably aren't aware with. And it's important to understand how to lay these informations out to them. So you want to put what your pay scale is at the very, very top of your ad. You want to put whatever bonus incentives that you're offering at the very top of these ads. And you want to put what kind of benefits you're offering at the top of these ads. Because the average person that looks at your ad is doing about a 10-second to 30-second at max scan of your ad. And they're looking at 15 other ads that are offering similar things. So what is going to entice them to your ad is verbalizing and visualizing that information, those meat and potatoes at the very, very top. And that's one of the things that we do as part of Bright Flag, is to make sure that we're positioning your ads to show exactly what the draw-in is immediately. So then when they start looking at the requirements, do I have to have 1 in 3 years? Do I have to have 5 in 10? Can I not have felonies? What's on my MVR? All that stuff is mushigas to them. They want to know what they're making, how many hours they're doing, can they get this job, and how long it's going to take them. And then the other part is an appropriate placement. The cool thing about Indeed is that when you place an ad, it has a 25-mile radius that it goes out to. But guess what? There are submarkets that you can utilize for free. A lot of you guys don't understand how to utilize Indeed. And if you reach out to me, whether you're using Bright Flag or not, I'm going to give you those tips and tricks so that you can maximize your profitability. You're going to maximize productivity, and you're going to maximize using that ad spend and getting the best yield for those dollars. And one of the things that Bright Flag does really well is we act as good stewards of your money. We know that when you place ads, you guys are working with really, really tight margins, much tighter margins than I worked with back in 2016, right? The days of being able to place ads for free and get 300 drivers on a Friday afternoon, unfortunately, those days are over, because this is a really, really tight labor market, and there's more competition now than ever before, just like I stated in that video. It's not lip service. That's the reality that we're living in. Everybody needs drivers, and they need drivers at the price point, and even a higher price point than what most of you guys can afford. So how do we draw them in? We cast wider nets in different submarkets. So if you're in East Aboga and 20 minutes away is Anniston, Alabama, you want to post there. If you are in East Aboga, Alabama, and Talladega is 20 minutes away, you want to post there. You want to have a comparable ad spend for maybe $20 to $30 a day to get that bench of drivers applying. But you also want to utilize free ads in those submarkets to try to draw in that's not within that 25-mile radius. And you want to be understanding if there's a bridge or a toll like in Louisiana or in St. Louis where these guys or gals are going to have to pay $15 to cross that bridge. Don't put your ad dollars there, because guess what? They're not going to do it. Or you guys are in markets where they are passing other terminals to get to your terminal. I have a contractor in Defuniak Springs, and guess what? The population is like 0. And Pensacola has a much larger population. And so, of course, by proxy, in our minds, we want to post all of our ads in Pensacola. We want to put all of our ad spend in Pensacola because they have a higher population density. And Defuniak Springs and Crestview, Florida, have like a population of 2,000. But guess what? Those people aren't going to drive past Pensacola to go work in Defuniak Springs 45 minutes away unless they're getting gas money, they're taking home their trucks, and guess what? You guys can't afford to do that right now. So you have to be really strategic with the money that you guys are allocating for your budget and know where to place those. And if you don't understand that, reach out to me. I want to be a resource for you, whether you use this or not. Yes, I would like to make money as Bright Flag, but more than anything, and this is honest, I want to be a resource for you because there was nothing like this that existed when I was a contractor, and I wish to God there was. So now that we have talked about mastering your ads, Grace is going to talk about the data that we've been able to show by partnering strategically with Indeed and how that works for you guys as contractors.
So Tony didn't mention this interesting stat when she was talking about the contractor who had the percentage pay and how Bright Flag restructured their ads and had a more successful outcome. But when we were preparing for this, we were working with Indeed, getting some data on some specific accounts that we wanted to talk about. And Indeed told us that that particular ad that got restructured had an increased success rate of apply starts 21 times higher with the new ad. So that just shows you how powerful it is to structure your ad in the right way, to structure your pay in the right way. And when people see something that is laid out in a way that communicates effectively your offerings to them, you're going to see a better increase in applies, and not only apply starts, but actual applies and then conversions. So 21 times is really impressive, just with a little restructure of an ad. So another thing that I want to highlight with some of this data, so when you use Indeed, you're going to have to spend ad dollars, right? And what's really important is that those ad dollars work for you. They work as well as they possibly can. And so there are a couple different metrics that you can look at to see how well your ad dollars are being spent. And one of those is your cost per apply, your cost per apply start. And so with Bright Flag, Indeed actually gave us some really interesting data in preparation for this. So Bright Flag clients on a whole actually spend way less per apply than the other FedEx contractors in the network who use Indeed. And so that means that with Bright Flag, your ad dollars actually go farther. So you're spending less dollars on every person actually getting engaged and interested in your ad, which is huge when we're all working in such constrained, with such constrained margins right now. Another interesting piece in this data, so Bright Flag clients are seeing a 7% higher conversion rate with candidates. So not only are you getting the candidates in at a lower price point, but you're also then converting them better when you work with Bright Flag. And that's something we've seen personally in our operations over the past 4 years that we've been using Bright Flag to recruit for us, and it's been a game changer for our advertising spend. All right, this is way smaller than I expected it to be, so my LASIK surgery that I got last year is not quite doing the job. Okay. I know. It would be nice if we could see them, but all is well. Okay, so I wanted to go over just a couple more pieces of the data here. And just so you guys know, if you use Indeed, all of this data is available for you to pull for your own operations to see what am I actually spending on cost per click, cost per apply start, cost per apply, cost per conversion. And you should be monitoring this to see how effective your ads are. I'm going to show you an example of a Bright Flag client and the performance of their ads before they started working with Bright Flag. So the data that you see on the left of each of these charts is going to be prior to working with Bright Flag, and then the data on the right side is going to be after working with Bright Flag. So you can see a huge change in just the difference of how the ads are structured and how they're able to bring candidates in and get them going in this process. So first, impressions is just how many people are actually seeing this. And this goes back to the algorithms that Tony mentioned. So if you've got an ad that is working properly in Indeed's environment, so you're kind of following all their rules and what they want to see in your ads, because they actually do have rules and standards that you're supposed to go by. So the better that you comply with those, the more visibility that you're going to get on Indeed, and it's also a factor of budget and all of those things. So so you can see a huge increase in impressions, just got in front of more people, which is super important. That's step number 1 to getting candidates. The next graph is going to be clicks, so how many people actually clicked on your ad, right? Next is apply starts, so how many people actually got to the point of starting to apply to say, I might be interested in this. And then last is actual applies. So in each case, you can see drastic improvement just because of how we're doing the ads. All right, this is an example here, and then I'll stop boring you with data, but this is going to show the change in the cost per apply start and cost per apply. So again, prior to using Bright Flag on the left, engaging with Bright Flag on the right, and this is something that we want to see be lower. So this is going to be an indicator to you of how well your dollars are being spent, how effective your dollars are being spent through advertising. And if we can lower that, that's always what we want. We want to be spending less on each person to get them started in the process. So just really powerful and interesting data. We've seen this in our operations, and it really works. So a lot of these tips and tricks that you guys learned from Tony today, you can implement in your operations and see some of these same results. So take a look at your Indeed data when you get home, look at these statistics, and then make some of these changes, implement some of these things Tony's talking about, and see what happens. It can be really, really powerful.
I am not gonna lie, I am so grateful that you went through conversion rates and metrics and numbers, because again, Louisiana, no offense to Mike, I know you're from New Orleans, so go Saints, who dat? But yeah, that's not my thing. I understand the analytics, I understand the data, it's not my favorite thing, but at the end of the day, the biggest takeaway is that if you guys utilize Indeed, we are good stewards of your ad spend. We want to make those ad spend dollars that you guys don't have a lot to use right now with the margins that you're currently operating under. We want to make those go as far as they possibly can. So if you guys have questions about why you guys are not getting the clicks that you want, why you're not getting the visibility that you want, whether you're a Bright Flag candidate or not, my email will be at the end of this presentation. Reach out to me. I'm happy, again, to be a resource to you. I know that if you build it, they will come. And so if I give you guys this free information, hopefully one day when you guys are in a pinch or when we are making tons of margins and tons of money, you guys will utilize us as a resource. So happy to be that for you. So the third thing that's really important to talk about is you're understanding your market. What are you guys up against? Who are your competitors? What are they offering? How do you be competitive? How do you structure your ads? How do you make them more visibly enticing? How do you make people want to actually come to your company over the other thousands of CSAs, DSPs, bread routes, Uber, Amazon, Lyft, whatever, right? But guess what? All of that information doesn't mean anything if you don't understand how to master the conversion from actual applicants to hires. And the important thing to understand about that is the verbalization of when you get these candidates on the phone. One of the things that we really love to do is create and formulate a relationship. And I know you guys are thinking about, well, guess what? 75% of the people that I talk to and I spend my precious time talking with don't actually ever even fill out the application. They pass drug tests, but maybe they fail their DOT, or they pass a background, but then they fail a drug test. So here are some things that we do at Bright Flag that I would hope that you guys will implement in part of your own process, utilizing us or doing it yourself, that will help you guys have that better conversion rate. So first of all, it is an effective job offering description. Do not tell these people that they're working a 5 to 8 hour day. I have contractors that come to me and they're like, oh, they're working 5 to 8 hours. I'm like, that's not true. They're working about 10, sometimes 12 hours a day. And that's the truth. And you have to verbalize that to them from the beginning. You have to explain to them how much they're going to make on a per day basis, working how many hours. Sometimes they may be rescue drivers if somebody's doing a poor job and they need to go out there and be a team player. You need to understand if you're working hourly that they'll get overtime. If they're doing a high density route and they're doing 200 stops a day, you're incentivizing them with a 10 cents extra per package on those routes, on those stops. You have to give them the information that they need to know to make an executive decision if they want to go through this process. Because guess what? It is a daunting process. Amazon, boom, in 5 days they're hired. We're about a 2.5 week process because we're at the mercy of First Advantage, okay? Or, as I like to say in case they're in this room, disadvantage. So, you can take that, I don't care. They hate me anyway. But I'm also credentialed as a third-party user, so it is what it is. But anyway, you want to make sure that you're effectively telling them what the job is. You're going to tell them the day, the pay, the hours of operation, what kind of vehicles are going to be driving. Some people just think high top van. Oh, I know what that is. Or a step van. I know what that is. They don't understand they're in a 26-foot box truck. They don't understand that sometimes they're on a mall route driving a straight truck that's non-CDL required. You have to explain these things to them so they have the high-level overview of what they're actually getting into. I like to tell them that they're getting in and out of their trucks 200 to 300 times a day. I'm not supposed to say this, so don't hold me on this, but if you got a bad back, bad necks, bad knees, you know what I mean? If this is not your forte, it's probably not going to be the right job for you. If you hate pollen, if you hate weather, you hate ice, you hate sleet, you hate snow, you hate people, you hate dogs, you hate traffic, you hate technology, you hate coming out of the, getting a late dispatch, probably not going to be the job for you. You have to be amenable. You have to be adaptable. And the reason I know this is because my butt was out on a truck for 3 months while I was trying to figure out how to staff for these positions. And it gave me a perspective of what these drivers go through. So I understand how to properly explain to them what they're going to be doing. And guess what? Some people throw their hands up and they're like, hell no, this is not the job for me. And I respect that because they're not wasting my time, they're not wasting my recruiter's time, and they're not wasting your time just to flake out. But guess what? The other side of it is you can give them the good, you can give them the bad, you can give them the ugly, and they're somehow going to go get a drug test. They're somehow going to go get a DOT physical. They're going to get through the gauntlet of First Advantage that was coded by probably a 5th grader. Who knows who created that antiquated process? Now it's a mobile application that nobody still knows how to use. It's ridiculous. They're going to go through all of those things and still not show up for their road test. It blows my freaking mind. If I had the answers for you guys, I would tell you all and we would be millionaires, okay? But guess what? It is a numbers game. We have to see who's going to come in and who's going to make it. Who's going to go out and who's going to train and who's going to go, you know what? I'm the man or woman. I'm going to go out there and do this. I can lift a Casper mattress and I'm going to carry it up 5 flights of stairs. You know what I mean? I'm going to deliver 200 stops and cancel my gym membership and have freaking muscles and quads and a flat stomach. That was awesome for me. I shed so much weight in the dead of summer. It's phenomenal. So all I'm saying to you is be realistic with these drivers on what you guys are expecting them to do. And you know what? When they come in, they might have the best mindset of what's going to happen to them. Or they might get on their own route after their first day of training and say, you know what? And abandon a route. That happens too. There is no set cookie cutter ideal person for this. I've hired military, I've hired single moms, I've hired big people, I've hired small people, I've hired everything. And you know what? You never know what's going to work because it's what's inside somebody and their work ethic. But if you cultivate that person and you let them know what's ahead of them, the challenges, the strifes, but you're going to be advocating for them and they're not just another quota to fill, they're going to work harder for you because some people just want the opportunity. Some people are just going to come and ebb and flow and just be a heartbeat. And here's the thing that I had to realize when I was an AO. And here's a hard truth that I had to realize about actually owning a recruiting staff. Some people are going to be your A team. They're going to be the people that you rely on day in and day out. They're going to do your rescues. They're going to be the people that want to be your lead drivers, your BCs, your A. They just want to elevate, right? They believe in it. They drink the Kool-Aid. They know that what you're doing is awesome and they want to be part of that. Then you're going to have your B team. They can be there, but they need to be cultivated. They need to be grown, right? And then you got your C team, which is basically everybody right now applying. Okay? And they're going to come in, they're going to ebb, they're going to flow, they're going to work a couple days. But you know what? All of them are integral parts of your organization to be successful. You can't discount the C team because you need them during peak. You need them during the ebbs and flows. Right now, we're kind of all waiting for this packages and the volume to pick up. But when that happens, you're going to have that C team, and then they're going to go and find something else. You're going to have that B team, you're going to have that A team, and they're all important. So don't discount that. Don't expect everybody to be the hardest worker. That was the biggest thing that I had to wrap my mind around because I'm a hustler. You know, I will scratch and crawl and do whatever it takes to win. And a lot of people don't have that mindset. They're snowflakes. I don't know what happened with the last generation, but they got participation trophies too much or their mom and dad had a lot of money. I don't know. I didn't come from that. My dad worked 3 jobs as a printer. And I was like, if I want something, I got to go out and get it. And you got to find those people that just want an opportunity to be heard and to be seen. And they're out there, but you got to be honest with them. You got to give them the good. You got to give them the bad, and you got to give them the ugly. You got to tell them the hard stuff, but you got to tell them they get a free gym membership. They get free Chick-fil-A biscuits. If you hate Chick-fil-A, I get it. They get free McDonald's biscuits, whatever it is. Sometimes you do a cookout for them, but those things are important. And that's how you're going to get the staff that stays with you, that believes in you and drinks the Kool-Aid. I don't want them to die, but I want them to believe in the culture of your organization, not like Marshall Applegate where they think they're following a comment. Anyway,
All right.
so the other thing that's really important is honestly hand-holding them through the First Advantage process. A lot of people that I talk to go, if they can figure out how to fill out this application, I don't want them, they're stupid. Well, guess what? A lot of these drivers maybe didn't go to college, and that's okay, because that doesn't mean shit. That means that they're still hardworking, blue-collar people that just want an opportunity, and maybe they need you to advocate them to get through this crappy First Advantage, disadvantage process. And they need you guys to go, hey, what does this mean that I need to enter 15 years of where I've lived? I've moved 20 places. Don't do that. Tell them to put 1 year for the last 10 years. Nobody cares, okay? They're going to figure it all out. Make it as simple as possible. Handhold them through this process. Advocate them. And don't dismiss them because technology is not their forte. Some of my best drivers are illiterate, okay? And I don't care about that because they work hard and they love what they do and they buy into this and they just want an opportunity. So care about those people, advocate for them, explain to them the 2 to 3 week process that they have to go through. Tell them up front, hey, this is a scavenger hunt of crap that you gotta go do. You gotta go take a drug test here, you gotta go DOT physical there, you gotta give all this stuff back to us, we gotta upload it, we gotta wait 24 to 48 freaking hours. Why? We don't know. But guess what? When all of that stuff populates, we're bringing you in, we're doing a driving test, and guess what? We're gonna start your training schedule. You're gonna get badged, and you're gonna be a driver for our organization. And we're gonna give you all the tools that you need to be a successful driver if you want that opportunity. That's important to explain to them. That is important to advocate for them. You will miss out on a lot of great drivers just because you think that they don't understand technology or they're being lackadaisical. A lot of them are just scared to say, I don't know how to use a computer. And if all of these things feel like too much stuff for you to have to do because you're wearing 1,000 freaking different hats as AOs and BCs and you guys are stretched to the max trying to make a profitability in some way, use Bright Flag. If you can't afford Bright Flag, call me and I'll still tell you how to do it. I'm here to be a resource for you. So now you guys know about mastering your market, mastering your ads, utilizing that information, and then taking all of that to master that conversion rate from actual applicants to hires.
All right, I think we've hit on all of these pretty well, so we might fly through this so we can have a little bit more time for some Bright Flag customers to come up and actually talk about their experience and answer for you all how that has been for them, what has changed in their operations. But before we do that, have a couple of really exciting announcements. We've kind of gone through this too, so we'll make these slides available for you all as well. But I think Tony hit on all of these really, really well. But just if you want to reference them, we'll make them available for you. We're going to keep running on. If you are interested, Bright Flag has a really, really poppin' Google reviews page, so you can go and take a look at some of those reviews. I think they have like a 4.9, hundreds of 5-star reviews, which is really impressive. So if you want to see for yourself what people are experiencing with Bright Flag, you can take a look at that.
I would like to preface that the reason it's not 5 stars is because somebody failed their drug test and they were very angry about that. There's nothing I can do about that.
Yes, Google doesn't let you take it down. So.
Google does not let you take it down if they're doing math. Anyway, continue.
Okay, just a couple of exciting announcements and then we'll go to the panel. In that partnership, Patent Logistics is also working with Bright Flag to make some of our BCs, so some of our Patent Logistics BCs, available to do Qual Cert training for you. One of the craziest and scariest things about Qual Cert is FedEx does not understand how much this is going to cost us. They don't understand how much it's going to add to our recruiting costs and to our training costs. If you guys have to go out there and you have to rent a facility and do trainings and you only have one person who's ready to be trained at a time, all of a sudden you're renting a facility for 4 days to train one person. And I don't know who can find a facility for less than like $100 a day. So that is a material cost that you're going to have to do on an ongoing basis. And so Bright Flag has partnered with Ground Cloud and Patent Logistics to be able to do the first half of Qual Cert for your candidates. So if you are engaged with Bright Flag and you choose for Bright Flag to do your Qual Cert for you, our Patent Logistics managers will actually do virtual classroom training for your candidates. So it cuts half It cuts the process in half. So no longer will your BCs have to be pulled out of your operation to do training for 4 days. It'll be 2 days, and it's just the live route training, so you guys won't have to rent facilities. You won't have to pay for that manager's time to be used as just training. They're able to actually be productive on a route and do live route training with these candidates as they're going through the process. So this is totally new. First time that we've announced that we're doing this. So I know lots of questions on all sides. Feel free to reach out to me, to reach out to Tony to understand more about this. But just wanted to announce that to you all and give some relief that there is help coming for Qual Cert, and hopefully Bright Flag can be a resource for that. So with that said, we've got some Bright Flag customers who are going to come up and speak to you guys a little bit in the last 10-15 minutes, okay? You guys come up. You know who you are.
And this isn't something where I just want to be like, Bright Flag is the greatest. I mean, I personally think we are. But one of the things that I think is really important to understand, and this is not a pitch, I wanted to give you guys information on what we do to make us successful and give that information to you as well. But one of the things that I think that makes Bright Flag really unique, and this is just coming from an AO background, is that when you partner with us, we act as an extension of your organization. And people say this phrase all the time, but I actually believe it, and I know it's misused. So please believe that it's wholehearted when I say it, but your success is our success. There is no way that we've been able to grow this organically without caring and feeling like your company's success is vital to our success. This is a large, very tight-knit community, and people talk. So if we fail for you, you're going to tell the other person in your station, they suck. And guess what? Failure is not an option for us. If we cannot be the resource, which has only happened one time, and that's because somebody wanted to pay $110 a day in New York, which is kind of crazy, we will tell you. But at the end of the day, we will do everything that we can to make this a successful engagement for you guys. So without further ado, Grace is going to ask a couple of questions to some people that have utilized us for 4 years, 2 years, 6 months, and I'm happy for you guys to hear straight from the horse's mouth.
Yep. All right, I'm going to start with you, Nate. All right, can you talk about what your biggest challenge was before using Bright Flag and how Bright Flag has been a solution?
Yeah, my biggest challenge before using Bright Flag, I was doing my own recruiting myself, and it was just extremely time consuming. I live out of state, and I run another sales company selling solar, and I just wasn't able to devote as much time to that as well as recruiting and all the other things you got to do as an AO. So being able to outsource that gave me so much time back to be able to work my other sales job and pay for my FedEx habit. So
awesome. Okay, we can just go down the line if you want.
Sure.
I'm going to ask you the same question because I think it'll be unique to a lot of you.
And Steven's been with me for 4 years in like 5 different CSAs. Yeah. Okay.
I want to echo what he said. I mean, we all know the bandwidth that it takes to recruit, and I mean, from the whole process is hours long just to get one person. So the biggest thing having Bright Flag is they kind of find the needle for you without you even having to get in the haystack. And that gives you back so much time to concentrate on things that you can influence in your operation and to make more profit, or redo your routes or focus on things that you have more control over while in the background they're constantly recruiting for you. So it's that time and energy, because if you didn't have I tried to get my wife to do it and she was just like, no, so
it's not for everyone.
That's how you get divorced.
Yeah, she straight up looked at me and she's like, I'm not doing that.
You don't want to do that.
And Bright Flag just constantly does it for you, which gives you, you're able to focus on things that you can be good at and actually try to put more money in your pocket. So.
Yeah, for us, we brought on Bright Flag really early. We've been contractors just over a year, and I think month 2 we brought Bright Flag on right after the expo last year. And I think the important part for us was coming from a background outside of FedEx. Rework is a really it's one of my cringe-worthy things. Like if I have to do something over and over again because the process is broken, which the process is broken, it was a really hard thing for my head to get around. And so we really wanted to take the attention and time we were spending into rework to be able to focus on culture. And I couldn't do that when I was stuck in, the First Advantage echo chamber for, 3 days for 2 hours of time because there was one toggle not hit. We were effective at ads. We were effective at getting bodies. But then if you get 800 candidates, then to get it down to even 50 qualified ones just takes just a huge amount of time. And so for us, we knew really early on we were okay with leaving some points on the board so we could get them the one commodity we can't get back, which is time. So
Thank you, Larry.
Same question.
Yep. So
I think most of us in this room wouldn't be doing this job if we weren't visionaries. So I had a vision for the kinds of drivers I wanted, and we really are trying to create a culture. We actually have Chick-fil-A more than once a month in my company.
yes, you do.
But I had this vision for building this relationship with people that were applying and letting them understand our culture, but I couldn't execute it because I didn't have enough time. And they really are like an extension of you. If you met any of my drivers, they would think Miss Tatum worked for my company. She was Ethos Enterprises recruiter. So they really got to know my culture, what matters about us, and they really communicated that. And then they were really able to, I tried doing it by myself for a minute. I couldn't have those conversations and then Zoom call with them to help them through the application. I just couldn't, but they actually really do that. So if you really did the math for what it costs to get a driver through Bright Flag, they're probably getting like $5 an hour by the time they actually bring
Unfortunately
a driver
for us,
on.
that's correct.
So what
That's
she's
okay.
just saying, what Tony's been saying has turned out to be 100% delivered.
Yeah, I would agree with everything that's been said so far. Also, my company, I started as just a single route owner, and the hardest lesson I learned early on was the first time I expanded and had drivers quitting, and I'm, running 2 routes every day. I have a ground route, that I put in the aisle and the residential deliveries on the shelves. And when you're out on the road 14, 15 hours a day cleaning up your mess, when do you have time to recruit anybody? Now that we've, everybody's gotten bigger because FedEx has pushed CSPs into the direction of being more of a larger business rather than just a owner operator type thing. Specialized roles are ideal, but we can't really afford them. You can't afford to have one recruiter and that's all they do is recruit. So you have to have them wear multiple hats. And what I found culturally within my organization is the person responsible for recruiting, because the turnover is so high and a lot of it is to no fault of our own. The working environments at FedEx are not ideal, especially for the pay. The hours are tough. We live in Florida, it's hot, that it was demoralizing to my team that was responsible for the recruiting, because for every one candidate that we got that was there for maybe 6 months, we burned through 40 or 50 people trying to get it, and then they leave because they don't like the job, and my team feels defeated because of that. Tony's team is not fazed by that because they know that their job is to pre-screen a bunch of these things. So any failures that come in on the front end of that, we don't even see those. So it's actually easier for us to take we'll call it not the finished product, but the recruit that's ready to go on the road, and then we get to mold them from there. It increases our success rate because we didn't deal with getting them bounced out of First Advantage. We don't have to feel those defeats on a regular basis. It really helps my leadership team with their morale for the job.
Being a contractor for 19 years and starting out like him as a single van contractor, running it myself, trying to expand, having to sell because I got threatened that they were going to take everything if I didn't keep a driver in this van, and having to sell part of my stuff and starting over and going through everything. This year when I applied for an open CSA, I called Tony on the phone and I said, hey, I've got to fully staff this thing. Every driver that's there is garbage. They've been trained terrible.
That was a fun call. I was like, sure, we can do this.
It has been the best, and Tony, I've talked all the time, and it's been the best and the worst situation. This terminal's terrible for the type of hiring that we can do, and she is making it work. It was a game changer for me. I have 4 CSAs, 2 terminals. I've got 5 managers going all the time. I did have one as a full-time recruiter, and he's moved into the CERT training now because for the money that Tony is charging each of us to do this, we're able to pretty much hire her as my full-time recruiter because I don't have to worry about it anymore. It has taken so much free time, or made more free time, so we don't have to sit at the computer and do the First Advantage nonsense that none of us really understand, and they are good at it. They understand what they're doing and able to do it, and it's just been a game changer. So
I'm one of the new FedEx that they mentioned, only a few months into it. So I think I'm about 8 months now, but I came from other logistics. So what I've realized working with Tony so far is that I'm going to continue to do is use their culture and how they support us to remove my oversight into my multiple ops managers or BCs, because I don't have to focus on how they're hiring at each station. I don't have to worry about the culture and train somebody new, and then if they leave, I have to train somebody new again. All they got to deal with is the employees that come to us. So it's been a real benefit, and it's encouraged me to drive on. As opposed to like before, I was doing group interviews, I was sending out the invites, I was having my people interview each day. And it's almost like it removes, if you have a full-time HR manager, it removes a big chunk of what they do too. So it almost frees up a whole position where you could absorb other duties yourself and still get time back by using these kind of services. So they've been great, and their team has been very beneficial to us, and just signed them on again for another business of mine, so outside of the FedEx. So it's they've been doing good work.
I think my favorite thing about doing what we do is being able to allow you guys to focus on your business and not working in your business and being slaves to it. That was something, you're going to be slaves in a lot of other ways because you have to wear all those different hats, and you have to figure out ways to scale, and you have to figure out ways to grow and to mitigate all these crushing margins. But this is just one piece of it that you guys don't have to think about, because when you partner with us, we make all of the drivers go through the sweat equity, right? We make them go through the gauntlet, fill out the application. But what we do is we hold their hand through the entire process. We imprint on those drivers as part of your organization. And so when they're handed off to you, if they are a valuable fit, because you guys can get to make the final decision. I don't hand them to you guys and be like, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. You still, at the end of the day, even though we've done all of that work, leg work, 20 to 30 hours a week, we still allow you to make the decisions on your company. And if it's not a good fit, we champion that response and that feedback back so we can understand how to make sure to get better drivers for you guys that are going to fit the culture, fit the routes, fit the days and hours of operation and all the pay scale. So I love what we do. It's in my blood. When I was an AO, I hated everything else about it. I hated payroll, I hated AR, I hated AP, anything with numbers, getting trucks insured, all the stuff, right? Renegotiations, but I like the people piece of it. I like helping these people that want to help themselves get jobs and be able to elevate themselves, help themselves up, and put food on the table for their families. And I like helping you guys find those people. So if you guys ever find yourself in a position where you need help with recruiting, please give us an opportunity to show you what we can do. And if you just have questions about how to do it on your own, also happy to be a resource for you. So thank you guys so much for coming to be a part of this. And I wish you all the best in all of your endeavors with owning these operations. So thank you.